are we talking about?
Not yours.
Good grief.
No, they're basically going to go back to, they're from Prince George, they're going to go back to Prince George and talk to kids about not using drugs there so they don't end up here.
Yeah, that's definitely a big one because I guess a lot of the kids...
Pictures, they say, are worth 1,000 words. In this case, these pictures taken in Vancouver's downtown Eastside cry out. While drug abuse, poverty and crime are problems for most BC communities, there are no others like the downtown Eastside, the poorest neighborhood in the entire nation. Recently, UNBC basketball players got a first-hand, late-night look at the east side of Vancouver, accompanied by coaches and members of the Vancouver Police Department and our camera. They went into the trenches, so to speak.
It's a pretty big eye-opener for them. I think they're going to take a lot out of this personally, and they'll certainly bring a lot to it, to the program itself. And hopefully influence some youngsters to avoid situations that they may end up in an environment such as the downtown east side of Vancouver. This is extreme, but it's certainly a possibility. A lot of the people down here that we've talked to have come from small towns, small areas all over the country. So it's just very easy for somebody to come from Prince George to this environment.
From my heart, I was a person like you at one time. I still am a person like you, but other than that, I have a problem, a serious problem. I'm a drug addict. And I say to you, Way, you have no friends in this business. And don't leave them pretend to you that they're your friend, because they're not your friends. They're your worst enemy, okay? And if you got anything going for you, keep it going.
Like, the TV screen can only show so much. And I think coming down here was definitely an experience that, you'll take with you, and you won't take many things for granted.
You know what? You want to know what it's like being on drugs?
You think you can never become a disgrace and end up addicted to poppy seed waste. But then you start inhaling me one afternoon, but then you take me to your arms very soon. And once they've entered deep down your veins, the crawling will nearly drive you insane. And you'll swindle your mother, and just for a buck, you turn to something vile and corrupt. And just when you've seen the monster you've grown, you'll solemnly swear to leave me alone. But if you think you got that mystical knack, sweetie, just try getting me off your back. The vomit, the cramps, your guts tied in knots, and the dangling nerves screaming for one more shot. And you'll be mine, just as foretold. And you'll give me your body and your soul. You give me morals, your conscience, your heart, and you'll be mine to death this part.
This is just a little bit of a bigger scale and a certainly more well-known scale than what we have in Prince George and in any community in the north.
It's like, I hate it, I don't want to be here, but it's like something's like got me, it's like something's holding me here. It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's fucking incredible. Like, I hate it. I can't stand it. I look like shit. I never looked so bad in my life. You know? It's eating me alive. Like, look at me. It's eating me alive, literally. And I just keep doing it and doing it and doing it.
Not only did the students get to talk with the residences of the East Side, they got to see where and how they lived, if that's the proper word. Tomorrow, on the second part of our special report series, we take you back to the downtown East Side to try to determine what could go so horribly wrong that you wind up living like this. Dave Branco, PGTV News.
You get one, right? So for every $100 you make the drug dealer, you get a $10 rock sort of thing, right?
Scenes like these from the Vancouver East Side may not be as apparent in northern communities. However, drug use is an issue in every community. The UNBC basketball players had the opportunity to join the Vancouver Police Department on a walking tour to see firsthand on how a drug user lives day to day.
It can happen to anybody, and they can end up down here, and nobody's vulnerable to it. Nobody can use drugs and not expect to get addicted, or not expect to fall into those negative aspects of drugs.
Because I'm getting too old and I'm tired of it. I've been down here for too long, and people that haven't used it shouldn't try it because it's something that they might like and it'll help them.
What's one of the first drugs you tried?
Mine was T's and R's.
T's and R's?
Yeah.
What's that?
That's poor man's heroin, they call it.
After the athletes talked to the drug users, the Vancouver police took us to where East Side residents actually live.
Here's your sink where you can brush your teeth. This is your mattress that's totally, it's got blood stains, sweat stains, cigarette burns, everything, right? Well, he probably doesn't want me showing you this stuff, but, you know, rigs, right? Watch your feet, actually. This needle's still infected, right? So, let's just get out of here.
All right. You open the door in the meantime.
Go over there. Who else is in the room? Who's in the room?
No one.
I gotta go downstairs anyway.
Okay.
Okay, you gonna lock your room or what?
Yeah, I'll just close the door.
Why don't you come lock it now, because we're gonna head out too.
Okay, he said just close it, let's close it. Let's go.
Just close it. No one breaks into it. It's unlocked everything.
It was like walking into a movie. Like, you don't really expect that it's going to be that intense, sort of, and you kind of think that, I don't know, I just didn't really expect it to be that much right when I saw it.
Everybody down here, if you ask them, started out with marijuana. They started out using marijuana and they progressed to other drugs. Nobody sticks a needle in their arm the first time. I've heard that many times and I totally agree to that. Nobody does it. You come down here and just about everybody does it because that's just the way it ends up being. So for somebody to be using casually marijuana, ecstasy, whatever, in Prince George environment, say even at a high school level, that's just the start, and they very well could end up down here.
Tomorrow, on part 3 of our series, Alan Bristow joins the students as they make their way to Prince George schools to inform students of what they saw and learned about drug use and life on the downtown east side of Vancouver. Dave Branco, PGTV News.
In the first 2 parts, we took you down to the streets of Vancouver. The next step is to follow the UNBC students to Miss Wilkins' grade 5 and 6 classroom at Pinewood Elementary School. To help push home the point about the dangers of abusing drugs or alcohol, they had a video from the trip.
Yeah, university kid look down at you and go, oh yeah, you're school. Yeah, you're a street person, but try to survive one night in the streets.
We can say don't do drugs, but now having the experience of seeing what happens when people do drugs and where it gets you, I think it's easier for us to spread that message. But,
yeah, that atmosphere down there is really something you never really want to be around or ever want to see in a lifetime. So it was good for the kids to see a little bit of that and steer clear of it. Yeah.
Respect them. Just be straight up and tell them they leave you and they be cool. I don't judge what they do because I could be me put on the same uniform, right? So I turn the
message was received by the students.
It was very nice to learn about how drugs can really take your life away.
Like sort of felt sorry for them, you know, because they're on drugs and stuff. Yeah.
And I thought it just explained a little bit more about drugs and things that could keep you away from your goals.
When they see young people, do they try to tell them to get out of here?
No, I don't know if they, myself, they push it on them.
You do when you're so sick and you have no money to get heroin.
I sell the drugs to make it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The person that said that if young kids go down those alleys, then nobody tells them not to use drugs. They encourage it, which I thought was a little weird.
In life, you're going to be asked to have drugs and smoke and to say no, and that's not good for you.
What has been good for these students is having these athletes to look up to. Stay tuned tomorrow for the final part of our series as we ask the athletes about being role models. Basketball players are known for being tall and having people look up to them. In this instance, these students look up to these players in a different way. The role model program takes the UNBC basketball players into different area schools, and the athletes know the importance of these trips.
We were all in the same place that they were. I mean, there's nothing really like extraordinarily special about us that got us here. We just worked hard in school and stuck with basketball, and some of us had people maybe like push us a little bit and stuff. So if you work hard and stick with stuff, then you can get here too.
If they have dreams and they have goals, to stick with it and see that, like, what you want to do is doable as long as you stick to the right path and you don't get sidetracked by things like the drugs and the alcohol that we try and steer the way from through the program.
There's no doubt these students are influenced by the basketball players.
Some of them, they have all different role models. Like one person said Michael Jordan, and I think that's pretty cool because Michael Jordan's one of my role models too, because I like basketball and yeah.
I want to be an athlete when I grow up, or an orthodontist. Yeah, I want to become a chemical engineer or basketball player.
These UNBC athletes aren't out to recruit future basketball players. Instead, they just want these students to get the message to steer clear of drugs and alcohol and be able to set up future goals for themselves.
I've had role models that were 2-3 years older than me, and I just looked up to them so much and believed everything they said and wanted to do things that they were doing. So I can understand, because I've been in their position having role models, how much of an impact it can be, and especially a positive one.
If your school is interested in having the role model program come to your school, you can contact the RCMP Drug and Organized Crime Awareness Unit at 561-3128.